Astronomical Society.
Okay.
So
Is that
what's
going
that
now?
then?
It's all right. I think I know what happened. It's all right.
Yeah, I think it's just not being broadcasted. Here it goes. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It's when I had
Right.
to reboot my computer.
Yeah.
It kicked it out. Same as we had to restart Zoom. So we've been talking to
Okay.
ourselves for. Oh, there's Pat. Oh,
That's her. Yeah.
yeah, and there's my daughter Riona. Oh, she's on.
Yeah, really. We
Way.
have a way to say hi, everybody. Hi, Pat.
Yeah. I'm so glad we chose to do the proper practice tonight, Dave.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Okay, well, that's definitely
Right.
broadcasting now on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Well, better tell the audience what this is again then.
Well, yeah, I guess I'll have to do all of that again.
Yeah.
This is Caldwell 7 or NGC 2403 in Camelopardalis, the giraffe. And it's a spiral galaxy, not dissimilar to the M33 galaxy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's you've seen one or two photographs I took of M33, haven't you? I mean, it's very similar to that. Um, it has that the same aspect in a photograph as the
Oh, yeah.
M33. There's a name for it, but I can't remember. I think they're called Frangel something or other galaxies. They're very they're not well defined. They're very spread out.
I like the way you
They
mumbled
are
that because I couldn't. I didn't know it either.
no, I can't. There is they call it something or other.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dave, shall we go
anyway,
back to? Shall we go
yeah,
back to our favourite?
go back to our favourite, and then we'll do that. Skip over to
Yeah. Why not?
what we were going to do, Crab Nebula or something.
Right. Okay. So, um, I'm hoping that you are seeing M42.
Rona's saying, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Uh,
That's because she's
uh,
coming.
either,
She's coming late.
either that means we don't know what we're talking about, or she
Yeah.
hasn't heard what we're talking
Right.
about.
No, she wouldn't have heard the word. Nobody will have. So we're going back to
Unfortunately,
Orion, Dave. All right. So there you.
yeah.
I've got
Let's do
Orion
that.
on the screen. You can describe where
Okay.
it is, and I'll get the scope onto it. Okay.
Right. Okay. Cool. Right. We're going to. We started off earlier on, but unfortunately we weren't connected to the rest of the world, and we were talking to ourselves for about 10 minutes. We kicked off with M42 in Orion, which is for anybody who can see out their window from where they're sitting, it's due south and dominates more or less the whole sky from there. Orion's identified mostly by the three stars in Orion, the three stars of the Orion's belt, and hanging from that is Orion's sword, which looks like three stars suspended below the three longer ones. And in amongst that, or in the middle, is this amorphous nebula called M42, or the Great Nebula, the Great Orion Nebula.
Okay. What I'm going to
Here
do.
it is.
I'm gonna fade over to it because I've got it in the camera.
Actually, guess what? It's better than it was the last time we
It
saw
certainly
it.
is. It certainly is.
Yeah, it's a lot less. It's a lot less fuzzy. It's much more definition there. You can
Skies
see
must be
the.
clearing.
Oh yeah. So I guess if it's actually lying on its side at the moment, but if you were to look at it from ground level, the stars on the right would be above, the stars on the left would be below, and this would be in the middle. So
Yeah.
it's just the way the telescopes lie.
I'm moving the scope at the moment, so that's why you're getting some streaks sometimes.
Yeah, getting a wee bit of streaking.
I'm just trying to get it a bit more. in view for the audience.
It's easier to see this time the
It is.
the central group of stars, which they call the trapezium.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
So these are the stars that appear to be illuminating it from the middle.
Oh.
It looks like they're lanterns inside a cave, and the light shining out through the cloudy part of the nebula, which gives it the light. There's a vast amount of detail that it's impossible to see these things. You know, when you imagine Hubble pictures of this, they show enormous amounts of detail that goes way across the entire screen of what we're looking at here. But they take weeks and weeks of data by leaving their shutter open on the telescope, and then accumulating all that data into one single image, which is then enhanced, coloured. It's all its different regions. You know, a lot of these things emit in oxygen, sodium, hydrogen mainly. But if you take all these things separately and gather hours and hours of data on that, then you add them together and you get an image like you would on Hubble telescope.
Yeah, that's pretty
so
good.
So we're never going to get to see that, but
no.
That's it for real there.
That's me zoomed quite far into
it. Oh yeah, now you can separate the stars now, Eric.
Cool. Oh yeah, I can see that now.
You can, yes,
The trapezium.
Right.
Those stars they've been formed from the hydrogen cloud, and now they're actually illuminating the hydrogen cloud. So, but there's a whole heap of things. If I zoom back, what have I done? If I zoom back out, so that Dave sees what we're seeing, there's a whole heap of stuff in this area, though.
Oh, there's astonishing double stars here.
Yeah.
This group down what's to your left of the nebula is a beautiful grouping of stars. Some with if you've got a wee telescope and have a look at that, you'll see that there's stars that they're almost impossible to separate, and they're just lying side by side. Mainly just by optical alignment, but nevertheless, the fact that they're extremely close, and it always makes for something. I always find double stars fascinating because they're more common than you think. There's a lot of double stars. I mean, here's a lovely one here. Look.
Which one are you talking about there, Dave?
Well, to the right of the nebula, you've got a very bright star, and then next to it,
where am I going?
There's keep going. Stop. And a touch to the left. There. There's that's a wonderful little group of stars. And if you have a look at that on a clear night in a telescope, you'll find that there's more than just that two stars that we can see there.
I've got a lot of diffraction from my cables tonight, so there's something I need to sort out for the next day.
Yeah.
But it's as good focus as you get. It's a sign of very good focus. Unfortunately, it's not what you want.
I know.
Yeah.
See, on this, I can't share my screen, can I?
No, you can't.
No.
Well, you could, but I'm not wanting to take the chance if I.
No, don't do that. We'll end up crashing the whole thing.
Right. So where would we like
to? Well, we skipped that one. I mean, what I think we might just a suggestion, but I would think the Crab Nebula is probably worth a go, because if you can get that, the Crab, which is the object number 1 on Charles Messier's list. So for anybody that doesn't know, we keep referring to these M numbers. M numbers are these a catalogue of objects created by a chap called Charles Messier way back in the day. He was looking for comets in order to presumably achieve fame through getting his name attached to them, or whatever he was comet hunting for. But the problem he had was that as he was searching for comets, he kept finding things that were very similar to comets. So they just looked like grey, fuzzy little blobs in the sky. Now it just kept confusing him. So rather than keep tripping over the same one twice, what he did was create a catalogue of the ones which were not comets, so that a comet would stick out. And they're a list of 100 and can't remember, 104, 108, something like that.
You can hear my scope turning, Dave.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Which are
there's Taurus here. There's Taurus the bull. Look on.
Yeah, here we go.
And that's the Hyades open cluster.
Yeah.
There is M1, the Crab Nebula, at the tip of one of the bull's horns. And I am now trying. Oh, there it is. There's the scope coming in. You see.
Great.
So I've got all that connected now, Dave. Reconnected.
Reconnected, yeah.
Yes. And I can tell you something, a bit of advice, don't touch the edge of your observatory when it's scoped.
Because your fingers are going to stick to it.
It is absolutely freezing.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, I mean, you're either going to get a knighthood or a Medal of Some description for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we've got it or not.
Okay, let's have a look.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I've probably zoomed in too much. There, oh!
There it is, yes.
My goodness me. Can people see that?
Well, I can see it. I wonder if, is it on,
Right,
doesn't appear to be on, because it won't be on YouTube just yet, mind.
It is now.
That's just a
Now, I know it's a haze. I know it's a haze. I'll zoom out again.
Here you go.
Right. That's what it looks like in the wide field.
Yeah, that's the wide field, yeah. And I mean, to be honest, that's pretty much what you would see if you had just a really simple telescope. You know, a 50, 60 mil refractor or a wee 4-inch reflector is going to show you precisely what that image looks like there.
Now, this...
When you expose a lot for more, there's an enormous amount of detail comes out of this.
Oh yeah. I mean, this was a massive star that burned up all its fuel and basically collapsed in on itself and formed a supernova. So it shone extremely bright for a few days, if not a few weeks, back in the 1000s, I think, Dave.
It's 1054.
1054, and I think the Chinese.
It was the Chinese that they documented that.
They documented it, yeah, and.
But I mean, it was visible in broad daylight for a week at least, if not more.
Yeah, that would have been a fantastic sight.
That's outshining Venus. Venus is visible during the day, but only if you knew where to look.
Yeah.
You had really good eyes. This was clearly visible to anybody who cared to look upwards. So that's an enormous amount of energy expended to be that bright. And this is all apparently is left of it.
The star basically collapsed into a glowing. No, it was a neutron star. It is massive, wasn't it? Huge density, and it spins at a tremendous rate, and it pulses. It gives out a signal.
It was the very first. It's the very first signal that was detected, which was a repeating signal, and it was picked up at Cambridge University by Jocelyn Bell.
Jocelyn Bell Purnell. She was the only lady, I think, on the team. She actually discovered it, and she didn't
She
get
did.
any credit for it in the papers. She got not a
No,
mention in the Nobel Prize. It was a travesty.
no, it was indeed.
Yeah,
Absolutely. She did
yeah,
all the work. She highlighted it. She was
yeah,
rubbished at the time, in fact,
yeah. Uh,
because it was I mean, I remember it very
yeah.
clearly, because at the time, most people suspected that it was a signal, a signal generated by another civilization. So, they had no idea about pulsars or neutron stars at that time. So it was called the LGM signal, which LGM stood for Little Green Men.
She had
And
a sense of humour. Yeah. We've met
well, I
her.
mean, they didn't know. I mean, they didn't know what a pulsar was. I mean, that was the pulsar came from the fact that this sounded like a signal, a repeating signal from outer space meant it was a little green man somewhere, until they looked in the sky to this where the source of the LGM signal was, and it turned out to be this Crab Nebula, and it was coming from the Crab Nebula. Uh, and it was only after quite a significant amount of research that the theory of neutron stars, or the rotating neutron star, creating that pulse, came from. But at the time, they were not thought. Same as black holes, they were only just coming on the scene then as a mathematical concept, round about the same time.
Yeah. Right, Dave. Shall we
So,
go?
you know what? You could pick one. I've
Yeah. Well,
stolen
I'm going to go
two
for one of my
shots at
favourites.
this.
Just round the
Yeah,
sky a bit. I am going to go for Bode's Galaxy and the Cigar Galaxy. Now,
absolutely.
I am going to put you back onto the uh, the sky map,
Mhm.
and we are looking due north here, and most of you will recognise the plough. Now, this constellation on this sky map, it's the full Great Bear Ursa Major that you see, but the asterism within it is the plough, and what you'll notice here is the plough is standing on its end. Okay, so there's its handle, and there is the ploughshare, or the Great Dipper, or the ladle, or the saucepan, or le grand casserole they call it in France. Now,
And the Haywin, that's another one
oh,
that's,
the Haywin, is it? Oh, I didn't know that one, but
yes, it's
yeah, I can
called the
see that.
Haywin. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you
North
follow,
North North Americans call it the Haywin or the Big Dipper.
cool. If you follow these stars, right? So there's the bowl, and you go use the diagonal stars, so bottom corner to top corner, and extend them, and go about the same distance again, and you'll come to these hazy patches, M81 and M82. Now you can see these in binoculars as hazy patches, but as Dave, hopefully you'll agree with me, they're always tricky little devils to find, aren't they?
But for some reason, they are the most difficult to find. I mean, I could sight over the top of a telescope, find a Crab Nebula in one shot, and spend three-quarters of an hour with a red dot finder trying to find MA1 and MA2. It is kind of bizarre. One thing that has thrown me occasionally is that there is another galaxy very close to M81 and M82, and it can be seen with binoculars as well. And if I remember rightly, up at the observatory on more than one occasion, James and I have been looking to show somebody with the 12-inch Dobsonian telescope, show them these things, and then find what we thought was M81, and it turned out that it was the other one, which I'm pretty sure is M100.
Yeah, if you look at the sky map, actually I've zoomed in on it. There's actually, I see all these little red dots on the map. these are actually little galaxies. Now, there's a lot of galaxies in this
There
region.
is quite a lot of galaxies there, yeah.
Yeah, not all of them are easy to find, I would have to say, but
No.
they are there. Now, Dave,
Yeah.
I am going to, I hope, amaze you, because with one push of the button, I think you can see both these galaxies. How is that?
Well, I guess WoW is kind of overdone, isn't it? But
It is
even
wow.
so, it is WoW. Yeah. I always love looking at these things. You know what I mean? Yeah.
They're one of my favourites to photograph. This is Bode's galaxy. I wonder if I can get the contrast up. I'm having trouble with the contrast tonight, but I think that is the haze, Dave. Yeah,
I don't think you're too far out, to be honest.
No.
You can overdo it.
I know. You're right.
Pretty well
That's not bad.
spot on there.
Yeah.
The fact that you can see that, I can see the arms in the.
Yeah, you can see the spiral. You see the spiral arms?
Yes.
Just off there. And off there.
Certain can.
And the dense core, which is like many spiral galaxies actually. Our one and Andromeda and all these ones there. They've all got a very dense core. Well, a lot of them have a dense core. That's a great wee sight there actually, I have to say. I'll tell you what I've lost, Dave. I've also lost the diffraction. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Why have I lost that? Is that less haze? Is it? I don't know.
It could be, or there was something obscuring your.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put my gloves on.
Lens.
Might have been.
Could be. You don't need to take much. Here, have a look at this telescope behind me here. Can you see this?
I can't actually. Oh yeah. I can see
it's an 80 mil refractor with a DSLR stuck to the other end of it.
Yeah.
But what I do to actually induce diffraction spikes is to cover the end of the lens with ribbon.
I avoid them like the plague when I'm doing astrophotography. I can put them in after if I want to, artist-wise, but
yeah.
Okay, so you can see that.
They just make the stars look like stars rather than glowing blobs.
Yeah, that's true. Now, this is M82, which looks like a 1. Is that the way to remember it? And this is a slightly off edge on galaxy, but it's a star forming galaxy. Now, if I zoom in on this, whoa, look at this! Look at this, Dave.
I'm just looking at the chat just to see what people have got to say. Rona seems to have a lot to say.
Oh, good stuff. Or
I'm not going to say what she's saying about you, but
it's okay. I can handle that.
Most of it's good.
Look at this. I've overrated it. But
yeah, you can see the shapes and structure in all dark bits.
This is a star-forming galaxy. I think they reckon that M81, Bode's galaxy, collided or interacted with M82, the cigar galaxy, at one time, and the interaction was enough to trigger off hydrogen fusion, Dave, in this big region here. That, if you can see it, I don't know whether you can see the colour, but it's more pinky red.
You can't. Yeah, you can. If you'd seen a photograph of this, a really clear image of this, you would know what you're looking at there. And there is a little pink smudgy edge to either side of it, which is what you're talking about there.
Yeah. If I put a filter,
it's difficult to see that in this.
Yeah.
But
if I put a narrowband filter in,
If you had narrowband on that, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You'd see that the red filaments are
There would be red
sticking out
filaments
either
poking
side
out
of
of the
it.
side, yeah. The thing is, the
Yeah.
exposure would need to be, well, not that long, 20 seconds or something. Might do that some other night.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I
this is
mean,
just
we've
a,
had that. We've looked at that before and
yeah,
seen the red starburst and
yeah.
there's these filaments sticking out.
I'm just wondering where that other galaxy is, Dave, because it's not far away from there.
No, it isn't far away from it. I'm just trying
It's
to
possibly
find
just
it
out the
for you.
field of view. Those stars are pretty well focused, they're not bad. A little bit oval, but not bad. So there you go, there's a lovely spiral galaxy. And a starburst, a star-forming galaxy, the Cigar Galaxy. And those can be seen, not like that, they'll be seen as two little smudges in a pair of binoculars if you know where to look.
Yeah,
So, Dave, your turn.
my turn.
Your turn.
Right, how about this might be a bit of a stretch, but if you can get away with this, it'll be quite interesting.
Okay.
It's M102, 102. It's called the Spindle Galaxy, and it's in Draco the Dragon.
Oh, Draco
Which
the
is,
Dragon.
yeah,
Not Idris the Dragon.
not just the Dragon. No.
Okay, there it is. M102. Can you see where I'm circling?
M102. Yeah.
Yeah. So there
It's
is
cool.
the plough that we've just been in, this
Uh-huh.
area. And we're basically just coming down a little bit. Yeah?
Yeah, it's going to be
Oh,
lower
sorry, I
on your
haven't. See,
horizon.
I've forgotten to put the map on to let people see it. Sorry, that's
All right, okay, do that.
that's what I have to do. It's the kind of thing that you forget when you're trying to do too many things. Sorry, there's the plough area that we're looking in. There's M81 and M82 you've just been looking at, and we're just coming down a bit to M102 that Dave's talking about. So
Might find that this is a bit lowish for
okay.
the telescope, but we'll see. I mean, that's covering a pretty wide part of the sky,
Yeah.
going from where you are to there. But there's no harm in trying. Right, now this is called the Spindle Galaxy.
I think the big problem is it might be my house roof, Dave.
Could be. Nice satellite.
No, it's just starts. It's just with the thing moving.
That was it.
Yeah, I'll need to drop the exposure a bit. Oh no, you know something?
No, there it is.
I think I've got it.
You have got it. Yeah, yeah, it's there.
Okay, I'm gonna
Right, this is a
let people
kind
see
of.
this.
I'm gonna let people have a look. Okay, M102 was. What can we say about M102? But it's. I mean, it depends. It's not a great night for seeing this, but it is lying right on its side, and it has a very distinctive dark lane right across the middle of it.
Yeah. I mean,
Might
that's
be pushing it to
100%
get.
zoom. If I go too much, it'll start to do.
Yeah, well,
Let's try it. Why not? Let's try it. Break the rules. I can
not
see
gonna
the
kill
dust line,
anybody.
Dave.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Right.
Can you see it? Just.
Yes,
I've
just
got.
if you look, it's actually the dust line is at its darkest right in the middle of
Yeah.
the bright bit, and then it's spread out right across the whole length of the galaxy except for two little wispy bits sticking outside.
I think
It's an
years ago, Dave.
astonishing looking thing.
Years ago,
Yeah.
there was a science show in Forres at the science park, and Bill Leslie of Sigma had a few of us on his team, and we were using the Fox telescope, the remote telescope.
Oh, yeah. I
And
know what you
I
mean.
think that was one of my targets I had to get and then process to bring out. I remember that one now, and I do remember that the
Yeah,
dust
it's
setter.
an extraordinary thing because although it looks hazy and a bit out of focus there, it is actually the main thing that you see in this one is the dark lane. it virtually obscures the central bulge as well.
Uh-huh.
So it looks like somebody's drawn a pencil line across a bright streak.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely edge on, and you can't actually see the dark
I
lane.
can't.
Yes.
I've zoomed up to
Yeah.
200%, right? So
I don't know
these
how
bricks.
much more you could push that, but I mean,
I don't think. Right, it's very
no.
pixelated. I'm gonna. You
Yeah,
know
I
what? I'm
know.
gonna go for 250. You know what?
What the
Right,
hell?
it is pixelating, but
Aye. No, you can't see it. You
yeah,
need to know what you're looking for, I guess. It would be nice to have a picture alongside this to give
yeah.
you an idea
Oh, you
of
see, you're
what
just giving me.
what
You're just giving me. You're just giving me more things to do.
I know.
But you're right. Why not? You know, there's
Well,
the.
multitasking is not really for blokes, like So
I think
we,
I,
we
I,
just
I
leave
can only do about
just
7
leave
things at
that.
once here. Yeah,
What
yeah,
as many as that?
yeah. I've
Dear,
just
dear,
been
dear.
scrolling through this chat, by the way, Dave. And
Yeah,
my,
yeah.
my daughter Riona there is, sorry, Dad, that was me asking Mum why I couldn't see anything earlier. The
Oh,
fact,
right.
Riona, was that we hadn't switched the stream live on YouTube. That was what it was.
Yeah.
But there was
No,
a lot going on,
yes,
wasn't there?
there was. Yeah. Well, interestingly, there.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, people in the chat are saying somebody's just Googled it and they can see how distinctive that
Yeah.
barring is.
Yeah. It's a very good astrophotography target.
Oh, it's a
Is
superb,
that Matt? Is it?
absolutely
Yeah, it's a good
amazing
photography
target.
target.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but what you do with
yeah. I mean,
astrophotography
it's
is
it's
you.
visual at 9.8.
What was it?
So
Oh,
that's within that's
yeah, yeah.
well
That's
within the
okay.
scope of most small telescopes.
Yeah, yeah.
80 to 100 mil telescope,
Uh,
DSLR, or even a wee deep sky camera, and that certainly show that really well, especially
yeah.
on a series of perhaps 1.5 minute exposure. You can get some
Yeah.
real detail in there.
Actually, no, that's not bad. When I'm doing my astrophotography, see, I'm taking maybe 40, 50 frames of this, and I
Yeah,
stack
exactly. Yeah.
them, and
Mhm.
it brings out the signal, the good signal, and it gets rid of the noise, and
Mhm.
you get a fantastic resultant, you know, sum of the images, SUM of the images. Uh,
Mhm.
and you can use pictures,
Yeah.
they might look as hazy as this, Dave, but they actually can come out absolutely fantastic.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, this is when you consider what's available to amateurs these days. You can get 100 years ago this would have been impossible to even the greatest astronomers in the world would have seen it. Like we
Yeah.
just saw a grey fuzzy thing, and then
Yeah.
they build a bigger and bigger telescope until they've got one that's 200 inches across, and then they can see dark lanes and whatnot. But I mean,
Oh
a
god. Yeah.
guy, a guy with a camera and a wee telescope can do 10 times what they could have done,
Yeah. And the other
without
thing
really
is
trying too hard.
the sharing of information and techniques
Yeah,
on the internet.
absolutely.
If I am trying to do something and I have a problem, I can find a
Mhm.
group of like-minded people, and we all want to help each other out. So
I think it's one of the few hobbies where sharing of information is really a big deal. You know what I mean? If you're a fisherman, for example, and somebody says, "Where did you catch that big trout?" They're not going to tell you. But if
no,
it's
no, no.
if you're an astronomer and you say, "Where did you see that big galaxy?" You say, "Well,
Yeah,
come and I'll show you."
I know.
It's just, I think it's a great, it's very social.
Oh, it's very social. Right, I tell you what. Let's instead of looking at little faint smudges,
Yeah,
so
let's
we're
look
gonna
at
have a wee
something
look at
that's
Gemini, the open cluster in there, M35 perhaps.
mhm,
It's full of
sure.
lovely, chains of curved stars and things. Um, so that
What
should
is
be
that called now, Eric?
M35. So I'll put the star map on, and I shall type in M35, and it should go to it.
Oh yeah, I remember it.
Now, so
That actually is joined onto it. Yeah, that's quite an interesting group of stars.
Oh yeah, it's right at the foot of
It
Juno.
is a tight cluster, but there's a very interesting open cluster right next to it as well.
Well, we're looking pretty much due south now, so Gemini is about as high in the sky as it gets at the moment. In fact, M35 is exactly due south. Look.
Yeah.
You see that?
Well, M35, I'd be surprised if you're on your widest angle that you also pick up the open cluster. What we call it, NGC.
Oh, that'll be
2158.
That'll be within the field of view of it actually.
That should be within the field of view. Yeah. So that's a beautiful shape.
Yeah. So just to explain this constellation
cluster
to people, right? So there's the twins, right, holding hands. There's their heads, Castor and Pollux. And the way to remember Castor and Pollux is, and I only learned this from Pauline a couple of weeks ago, this is a bright star in Auriga called Capella, very bright, and Castor is closer to Capella, and Pollux is closer to Procyon, which is one of the hunting dogs of Orion. That's how I'm going to be remembering that, Dave. But you can see the twins heads, holding hands, and there are their legs. And at the foot of Castor, there is M35, and that's where I want to head into. So I'm going to slew the scope.
You do that. I'm just going to say hi to some of our listeners. We've got hi to Sharon Sullivan and Matt. Don't know your second name, but
I see Rona's going. Bye, Rona. Thanks for turning up.
Rona's just off.
Yeah. There's the scope coming into play, and now my hands are so cold now, Dave. I can't even feel the pain. I've got past the pain stage.
Yeah, they say that that's like hypothermia, isn't it? You know,
is it?
if you start rambling or hallucinating, then
that must have been doing that a while ago. Then
I thought you were doing that already.
Right. Okay, I'm going to go into the. Oh, now, right,
Whoa.
Guys. Dave can see that.
I can't, yeah, but you guys will in a minute.
I'm just going to fade into the shot. And I can see your NGC as well, by the way.
Yeah, you can,
And this is actually absolutely cracking, if I dare say.
Do you know what? Strange. This is one of the best pictures you've had tonight. I mean,
I think so. I think the sky's clearing, Dave. That's what it is.
It is clear, but
absolutely.
You know, we've been pushing it with some of these objects are not easy ones to see.
Yeah.
Now that is remarkable.
I'm just going to push her back into the centre a little bit, but M35 was one of my first clusters I found using a 4.5-inch reflecting telescope that my wife Marion bought me for my birthday. And it was Martin de Vries that told me it's a good thing to try and find because it's not easy, but once you find it, it is a beautiful cluster. It has curves of chains of stars. Once this settles, there you go. Can you see these chains? Look at these beautiful curves. And these, I'm going to see in a telescope. This is one object that looks way better in a telescope than it does on an astro graph like this, off an astrocam. But it's still pretty stunning, Dave, if I dare say.
Yeah, it's stunning, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. But you're right. I mean, these stars are absolutely almost like diamonds lying in a black velvet cloth. They're so.
Yeah. Jewels in the sky, I call them. Jewels in the sky.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, because we are able to webcast at high resolution 1080p, I'm thinking that you guys, if you can see what I can see colour in some of these stars. Can you see red in this one?
Hold on a wee minute, Eric. If you
Uh-huh.
go to see the two brightest stars in 2158 in the cluster, the open cluster. Keep them down here, there.
This one,
Go
right?
across to the one on the right. That one is that through a telescope. That one is intensely orange,
Right.
and I can see if you take that thing away, if you move your eye away from the thing, I think you can safely say I could safely say there's a touch of red in there.
Excellent. I'm gonna now. Can you see a hazy patch down here?
I can, yeah.
That, Dave, is your NGC something or other you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one, when you get the M35 open cluster in the field of view of even a small scope, this one is very often on the edge of it. It's not difficult to find, you just need to know it's there. Oh, look at this. This is actually pretty good.
That is. M35 was first spotted in 1745, believe it or not. The same year as the Jacobite uprising.
Dave, I think this is rather good. Look at this. You can see the colour of these stars.
That's remarkable. Absolutely, yes, indeed you can.
And it's very densely packed, much more densely packed than M35.
And most of the stars in that group are very red.
Yeah, they're like if you've ever found garnets on the beach at Ely near St Andrews, they're that colour, the garnet colour, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. They certainly are.
Excellent. I'm sure people will have picked up M35, when they've been viewing things, Dave, with their own scope, and they will have seen this. They'll have seen this fuzzy patch and not realised it was something actually worth finding. Yeah. It actually photographs well. See when you take you take a photograph of this whole area, it really does come up wonderfully well. And you know what? I might make that a target for myself
well,
in the next few weeks.
Yeah, the Messier catalogue is the one that is most talked about, and it's the one that most people use. All astronomy clubs could have a Messier, like climbing Monroe's. You do all the Messier objects as a sort of challenge and that sort of thing.
There's a theme for
some of the best targets to look at, and especially in astrophotography, are hidden away in the Caldwell Catalogue, NGC.
Oh, yeah.
And there's several other things. There's an astounding thing I was looking at the other night, which is I don't know what it's called now. It has a thing like a smoke ring coming off it. It looks like it's exploded, and it has this. It's actually called. You can look this up. It's called the Hookah Pipe Nebula.
The what pipe?
As in the Egyptian hookah pipe.
Oh, it sounds like one of these dodgy things you were into when you were younger, Dave.
Oh, yeah, I used to see more than stars then.
Oh, did you know? Oh, well, there you go. Well, I think that's been. You know what? That's the best, apart from the M42, maybe, which might be better now. But that's the best object I think we've seen tonight. Definitely.
It is.
Right, it's right. It's your turn now. Shall we go to the checklist? But there's more things than this, of course. There's many more things than this.
Well, if you manage to catch that galaxy, then let's have a little try at M51, because that
okay.
is.
I will have a go. I'm just suspicious.
Yeah.
Suspicious.
Could be too low.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that I might hit my roof, but you know what?
Oh, okay.
If we don't,
we'll go to somewhere else.
Right. So, do you want to just?
The fact that you were picking up whatever that thing was, with a dark bar across it.
Yeah.
All the time it takes. I'll give it a go.
Right. So you want to describe the location of it, Dave, so that people know where it is while I set my camera going to it?
Okay. Well, go back to the Great Bear, Big Dipper, Hay Lane, and go from let's call it the bear this time, from the tail of the bear, which is the bit sticking out the back. If you count the stars down, there's one. The next star down is a double star. You can see that there's two stars, even with the naked eye, you can see that. And then right down to the last star in the tail of the bear. And just along from it, I find it usually by going to the star that Eric's almost highlighted there with his cursor. There's a fainter star next to the last, that one. And then halfway between the next faintest star and that one is M51. And this is a face-on spiral galaxy with a big blob hanging off the end of it. And this sure does make a wonderful picture.
I think you can hear the...
Again, difficult to find in small telescopes, but it's a big image, big galaxy. If you have an exposure, anything at
Dave,
a minute, less than a minute.
I'm going to fade in because it is there.
All right, okay.
And I'll let you see it on. All right, it is there.
Oh,
but
gosh,
it's at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so
that's
just
okay.
Just give me a few seconds to get that up.
That's amazing.
Oh, crikey!
No, that's astounding. Well done, man.
Well, this is where this is the advantage of having an observatory permanently mounted, permanently built, and your scope and everything is absolutely perfectly aligned. So when I push the buttons or choose the thing on the computer, that the scope goes pretty close to it. I've just realised that's 50%.
That's actually, that's really a huge benefit because this is another one. I mean, a bit like Bode's. This is another one that usually takes a few shots to find it.
Right, can you see that, guys? I'm going to zoom in on it.
Yeah.
And let you see it.
There you go. That's just drag
How's
it along a bit.
See that okay?
Yes.
Now, it's actually two galaxies. That's the thing, it's two galaxies. The whirlpool itself, can you see the spiral arms in that? There's its dense core of stars, and you see the spiral arms coming out of it?
Yep.
Now, see this one up here? Right? That galaxy is actually denser than this one, and it is sucking the stars. The gravity is drawing the stars from the whirlpool into it. It will gradually absorb all that spiral galaxy, and it will become an amorphous elliptical galaxy, they reckon. You with me, Dave?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm listening to what you're saying.
I'm not wishing to turn into an astrophysicist or anything like that, but
No. So they say. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's sometimes you just got to go with the theory of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's I'm a great one for just looking.
I'm the same, and I like photographing, and I photograph for making a nice picture rather than necessarily a scientific picture. Although, if you understand some of the science, you know that there are hydrogen or it's oxygen or it's sulfur, that's in the area, then you can use a proper filter to bring out those features, which are basically like you choosing your palette, for painting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the great thing about modern amateur astronomy. It's got so many things at its disposal now that we'd never have had before.
Yeah.
being able to see, I mean, narrowband imaging for a start is, I don't know, you really just have to do that to find out what the difference is. If you've spent your time taking photographs through a telescope, and the results they're always astounding. I always remember the very first photo that I took through a telescope. I attached the camera to it and focused it, and then I didn't have any kind of tracking. I didn't even have a tracking mount. It was a TAL1 reflector on a pillar,
Uh-huh.
but it has slow motion controls. And we looked at M31 in the galaxy in Andromeda, and then I opened the shutter and then worked little controls to contract this thing with the crosshairs on the finder scope. Now, I mean, you
Uh-huh.
can imagine what the result of that was. There was lamb's tails for stars and a big blob in the middle, but it was kind of white and shiny. But
But
I
they
mean,
say
after I
you,
developed the picture, I ran out in the house and said, look at this. I can't believe it. It's the Andromeda Galaxy.
they
You
say
know,
you learn more by
uh,
your mistakes than your
the,
successes, and
well,
you and I
exactly.
must
I
have had a
mean,
lot of failures, Dave.
the second or third photograph, was I could see all the details in it and dark bands and all the rest of it.
Uh,
So what's available to us now is
well,
just is really astonishing. But I think the one thing that really is worth saying is this: the difference between broadband images through your telescope and narrowband is the defining thing for astrophotography.
oh
As
yeah,
soon as you use narrowband, you're never going back
no,
because
no,
the fact that it's emitting in the region that the filter that you're using, it just explodes
yeah.
onto your screen.
If you ever want to
And
take up
this works really
astrophotography,
well.
yeah, well, it does. But if you ever want to take up astrophotography seriously, I mean, there are two aspects of photography. There's the what I call it keep it simple, and there's the very
Yeah.
technical stuff. And
Oh,
if you ever want to take up the technical stuff, you really get in touch with us. Get in touch with myself or Dave or other people who are serious about it in the club, and it will get you taking good and better pictures much quicker than if you have to go through the learning curve that we all went through. I mean, you do need to
yeah,
make mistakes.
that's for sure. I mean, that's one thing that we do really well at the astronomy club. We have all that available to people. I mean, folks
Yeah.
can come up there and take their own photographs with our cameras and telescopes and take them home with them. Hey, Matt, see you back again. Nice to see you back.
Right, Dave. It's -9.5 degrees in here. I'm
Aye,
going to do one more image, one more subject,
okay.
if that's okay. So, what do you
I
think?
think that's wise. I think that's wise. I think it's unfair of me to be sitting here in a t-shirt.
Well, the worst one was on WhatsApp. Lorraine put a picture of a beautiful wood fire stove that she was going to be sitting with. And I'm just standing here at -9.5, and I can tell you it feels like -9.5.
Yeah.
So, where do you want to go, Dave?
Oh, okay. It's
Or has anybody got a suggestion? Is anybody on the
I don't know. I
chat?
mean, I'm looking at here. We still Rona's gone. Sharon's still here, and Matt's still with us.
Yeah. Oh well, we've got
So
six viewers.
maybe if anybody wants to
Yeah.
pop something in the chat there that you'd like to have a look at, by all means.
This has
And
been a
in fact,
great
now would
session
be
for.
your
This has been a great. Oh, tell you what, double cluster.
double cluster.
What about the double cluster? Shall we try that?
In Persian, why not?
Okay. Right. So I'll go for one of them. What is it? 869, I think.
Bye bye, M51.
Okay. Right. We have gone for. Right. You want to describe the area, Dave,
You
while I.
can, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is another one of these things that you can see on a dark night. You would need a dark view. sky without any streetlights. But this is one that you can see without binoculars, without any optical aid whatsoever. It looks like a grey fuzzy bit between Cassiopeia, which is the W-shaped constellation, which I can't highlight this, of course, but we've got the constellation of Pegasus and the W-shaped of Cassiopeia. It's pretty much halfway between either of these, the top end of Perseus and Cassiopeia. But like I say, easy to find anyway, because you can, you know, if you're away from street lights, you can see this anyway. And there it is. Man, that's incredible.
Well, Dave, I think it's a night for clusters, if I'm perfectly honest.
Sure is.
I'm just going to move it up into the camera view a bit better.
I think one thing you said earlier, Eric, which really does ring true, is that, you know, astrophotography, as far as galaxies, nebula, the deep, deep sky, difficult things, the very amorphous things, lend themselves to long, long exposures. However, star clusters are far and away best observed with a telescope with your eye. This is something you can gaze at for hours on end and never get fed up.
No, you pick up the easily
and
the different
photographs
brightnesses.
don't do it justice.
No, they don't.
They are. These are serious jewels in the sky. These ones.
I'm just gently nudging it into the centre of the field of view, Dave.
To get them all in. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a good cluster, and I would like to zoom in on it a little bit for people.
Yeah.
I've also learned that you have to click on the framed so I can get the cursor showing. Oh, I think I'm going the wrong way.
Right.
Am I going the wrong way? It's because it's done a meridian flip.
Yes.
That's why.
That's right.
It did a meridian flip.
Hey,
That's when the scope crosses the southern, the southern sort of axis, and the buttons I was using to go left now push it right and it or whatever.
Yeah, I think. That's right. I think it's to stop your telescope bottoming out if you kept going.
Yeah, it's an equatorial scope I've got here, so yeah.
The equatorial scope would run into itself. So it flicks around and then takes another bite of the sky as it passes the south meridian.
Right, but here we go though. I think we'll be okay this time.
Yeah.
It's another couple of seconds, so should be okay.
Let it settle.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right. I'm going to zoom in a bit, Dave.
Yeah.
How's that? That's my favourite one, I'd have to say.
Which one?
This one here. This top one I'm circling. Do you see the one I'm circling?
Yeah.
It's like a fishtail or an octopus or something. I don't know what.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's great. So I'll go.
Yeah. It's hard to choose, isn't it? I mean.
Oh, it is. Because
the grouping of the stars in this is quite astonishing. I mean, there's many of these stars when you look at it with your telescope, they almost look like they're touching.
Yeah.
They're overlapping, and
Yeah, it's not bringing it out tonight for some reason, but there's a huge difference in colours of stars here.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think that's a.
We shout out to Riona McIntyre. Hi.
Hello, Riona.
And Pam.
Yes, it is pretty, isn't it?
Scott here. It is pretty, you're absolutely right. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I guess you have. Riona.
She's probably. I have actually got a couple of very good astral pictures of that. This one does work well with stacking, Dave. And they are mainly blue or blue-white stars. They're very young stars in these open clusters, but peppered throughout it there are some, red, orange, stars as well. And
Mm-hmm.
it,
Yeah.
and if you can get it against, if you can bring the photograph out so that the back looks like a bit of black velvet, like in a jeweller's shop that shows off rings and jewels,
Yeah.
it really
That's what
does
it
look
always reminds.
stunning.
It
Yeah.
always reminds me of diamond sitting on a velvet.
This is probably going to
Well,
overexpose it, but I'm going to give it another couple of seconds just to see. Oh, actually,
mhm.
I accidentally went down, and you know what? It's slightly better,
I
less
think
exposed, I
probably
think.
better. I need its contrast to listening to.
Yeah. I wonder if 8 seconds or so will be better. Yeah,
Yeah, if you
I'm gonna go the other
yeah.
way. I'm gonna go the other way.
Try and take the bloom off those stars
Yeah,
if you
slightly
can.
better. That's not
Oh
bad.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
let's get the whole field of view in again. There you go. Look at that. That's the whole
That
field of view.
that is quite stunning.
There are actually lots of little. This is the Cassiopeia Perseus area in the Milky Way, and there must be dozens, dozens of clusters scattered throughout it. And the human eye is wonderful. It's very good at picking up or making patterns out of groups of things. Uh, and there's
One thing I've noticed in a lot of images that if you just expose, I do a lot of single image uh, photography, so
yeah,
the longer the exposure, the more stars you're going to get. And what I find is, and you can see it here in this picture, if you kind of come back out a wee bit,
but
just
okay.
to
I will.
out a wee bit, but maybe about there.
Yeah,
If you look at the surrounding stars in this, they form strings. There's lots and lots
yeah.
of stars, which no, I mean this
Yeah.
could be just
Can, can
coincidence that
can you
they're
see a couple
lined
down
up.
here? Look at
Yeah,
that. You see
there's
see that? There's a
strings of
curve
stars,
there.
and
There's a string there. There's a string here.
they sometimes go in long threads,
Yeah.
and
So is
that's
that
a
to do
common.
with forces?
I don't know. I have no idea what it is. I mean, it could be just an optical alignment because there's
Yeah.
so many stars. This picture here is what, 8 seconds of exposure? If you let
That's
this
that's,
run
that's only
for
that's only
about,
8 seconds. That's not long. Yeah.
that's what I mean. If you let this run for a minute, you
Yeah.
virtually fill that entire screen with stars.
Yeah. Well,
Because I
Dave,
mean, there are fainter ones. You're going to have to bottle it down.
I'm gonna have to bottle it. I'm gonna now from that beautiful, beautiful picture of jewels in the sky.
What
We're
a
now
way
going
to
to
end.
go to some other jewels. Or paste, perhaps. It could be paste, is it, Dave? So, if anybody's got any questions of us? Oh, Pat was asking us what clusters are these. That's the double cluster in Perseus Cassiopeia. The double cluster, NGC 869 and is it 884? I think it is, or 864. One of these two. Beautiful double cluster, Pat. So, anyway, Dave, thank you very much for helping me out. You definitely need two people to do this, no doubt about it.
You're welcome, Eric.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut into the exit slide. That gives people, there's a 2-minute countdown, and that'll give folk a time to finish off any chats or type in any questions they've got, and we can try and answer them within that 2 minutes. Okay, so anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. Really enjoyed it myself. Clear skies.
Hey,
Keep looking up.
see you soon.